So since Friday, which if you don't know was actually the dev live stream which the devs do every single week for Marvel's Avengers, long story short, however, they went ahead and dropped a ton of Black Panther DLC information, which has a lot of people super excited. But then earlier today, we do have a dev blog post that have been released on the official Marvel's Avengers website that is dedicated to this Black Panther DLC, just confirming a whole bunch of stuff which is going to be super interesting. So that's what this video is all about. So I want to, I guess, ask the question of how hyped up are you seriously on a scale 1 to 10 for this Black Panther DLC? Just let it sink in. Let's just say we're halfway through July. This DLC is set to be released next month. Now that is super cool. I can't believe we're actually getting this close, and with that all happening, of course, naturally all of this information is just gonna, long story short, start flooding in, and that's exactly what we want to see, because that's exactly what gets people going. And hey, we've waited long enough for it. So let's dive into this video. I want to start off with, first of all, what you're seeing in the background, which is said to essentially be the new outpost. Now, the exact words were that the new outpost is located in the Capitol building, and it's kind of like one of those no-brainer scenarios here that this is going to be that outpost, which by the way is going to be super incredible. It does make sense considering, of course, it's a brand new expansion, a brand new location, a brand new character. This is the Wakanda DLC, this is T'Challa, right? So it's not like the outpost that we've experienced in all the previous DLCs. This ain't just a random Kate Bishop DLC character being thrown in, or a Hawkeye DLC, which by the way were good as well, but I'm just saying, like, on a scale perspective, okay? This is much bigger, and when we talk about variety and how you feel as a character and like the atmosphere in a new outpost, it's going to be different. It's going to be very interesting. Now, in this dev blog post, they do really go ahead and stress a lot of things for this DLC. For example, the verticality in the Wakandan landscape, they did say, is basically, well, there's more verticality, should I say, sorry, in the Wakandan landscape than anything they've ever built before for Marvel's Avengers. And they did go on to say that players will have to watch their steps as there are deadly drop-offs and bottomless pits scattered around the jungle, and we also want to reward exploration with strong boxes and treasures hidden underneath and over the playpath. Now here's the interesting thing, because they go ahead and continue on like how this is different, it's not a copy and paste, it's just everything's going to be new in this DLC, right? So I do want to go on and touch up on the whole, free roam element to this, because of course exploration is a very big thing, and especially with a DLC like this. And there were kind of rumors that I've been seeing around going on Twitter over the weekend saying that we're not going to be able to explore the city, etc. It's just essentially the jungle. But one thing that has actually been confirmed is that caves are explorable. So actually, before I go into the next part, as I'm on the topic about caves being explorable, this is the new location that we got to see, right? It's just a screenshot, it's not a concept art, it's a screenshot of how Wakanda looks, how the jungle looks. This looks absolutely incredible. But then there is actually this screenshot here, which by the way, first of all, I can't tell if that's a concept art or if that's an in-game screenshot. I think it's a concept art. Yeah, it's definitely a concept art, actually. Ignore what I just said. It definitely is, which is the Ancient Monorail, of course, which is really interesting. But then right here is another piece of concept art, and what's super interesting here is that it was confirmed that the paintings on the rocks in this scenario are actually infused with vibranium and glow in the dark. Now, that's actually really interesting. So the whole element of like all these paints on the rocks and being able to explore into the caves and so forth, I don't know, it just kind of feels very exciting. And again, this is why I talk about that free roam element to the game, because what we do know is going to be that free roam aspect is something called patrol mode. Now again, that's going to be tested. It's still going through that testing phase based on the popularity, based if it makes any sense to them whatsoever. That's then of course what's going to be going down. But here's the thing, it seems like it's already been confirmed that that whole free roam element here is just going to be really heavily focused on, is probably the best way to describe that. Just one final thing I want to quickly touch up on before I go into the next thing they said, in case you forgot, is that there will be Wakanda exclusive gear, which I think is really important. Also right here what you see are ancient strong boxes, which I think is really cool. But anyway, going into the next part, they did say about how there's going to be loads of references, ultimately Easter eggs. So they said the Wakandan missions are full of comic references, but in addition, the vistas will also show off iconic landmarks in the distance. Now fans of the comic should be excited to see familiar locations as they move through Wakanda. One mission takes place at the crater rim looking towards the Golden City in the vista, and the next scene takes place within the city itself. Now there's that element where people were, like I said over the weekend, there's a rumor of, okay, you can't actually free roam in the city, you're not going to be able to see NPCs, it's not really going to be working like that. I just don't think that's a thing at this moment in time. Like I said, it's one of those things you take as a pinch of salt, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, this DLC can seriously just basically be one of those evergreen pieces of content that get implemented into this game, meaning they can just go ahead and build up on top of the DLC as, you know, the months go on and on. Now, here's the interesting thing. As far as Black Panther goes, for instance, this was actually mentioned on Friday, I believe, in the stream that Black Panther will be able to wall run. They went ahead and then showcased this whole image here, which of course is of a wall, and they did basically say, can you guess which character uses it? But again, of course, that was confirmed in the stream on Friday that Black Panther can actually wall run, which is going to be very interesting. So I guess the situation here is, how big can this DLC be and how far can the DLC go? Now, from reading this dev blog, which by the way I've linked in the description if you really want to go ahead and check in like the word for word stuff and more concept arts, then go ahead and do so. But it's really interesting because even if we can go ahead and actually explore just the jungle, and there's more like kind of interiors to most buildings that you can discover. So for example, if you can explore caves, then hopefully you can explore other things. For example, they actually showcase this part here called the Warrior's Gate, which is part of the trials needed for a returning warrior to go through to re-enter Wakanda, which I think is really interesting. Now, it's like, okay, well, how far is exploration going to go? Like, how many things can you randomly come across that are going to be like, okay, this is super fun? And I honestly feel like, okay, we haven't seen any gameplay right now, but that's what we're going to be seeing very soon. But based on the information that's being given, is that, okay, this is something completely refreshing, and we're kind of like quick to judge right now, including myself, that, okay, there are elements that I don't really agree with, but overall it seems to be very positive. It's just how well can it be executed, and that's what's going to be determined down to us seeing the gameplay and just how the environment feels and how it feeds back to the player, basically the person behind the control, the person behind the screen. How does it make them feel? But guys, that's going to wrap up this video here, so leave your thoughts on it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day, and until the next one, adios amigos.